Hello and welcome to episode 22 of Bitch Please. I know it's been a while, but I've been away. My Christmas holidays got extended a bit. This is one of the perils of being your own boss. Nobody to tell you to get back to work. But I'm back in the saddle and I have a caller on the line waiting to speak to us. Let's see who it is. Hello.
Hi, Danny.
Hi there. Tell me your name and where you're joining us from.
My name is Dipti Pinto Rosario. I'm joining you from
Mm-hmm.
Goa.
Very nice. My favorite place in the world.
Mine too.
And Divti, what would you like to bitch about today?
I would like to bitch about how Poonam Pandey recently faked her own death to bring
Mm-hmm.
awareness to cervical cancer.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And got the whole country talking in the process. Now, before we proceed, full disclosure to anybody listening or watching, Deepthi and I go back a long way. We know each other. We were in college together, and she's a very accomplished doctor today. What I'm trying to say is, I'm not smart. I just have smart friends. All right, so let's get to it. So last Friday, I believe everybody woke up to the news that Poonam Pandey, reality star slash model, had passed away due to cervical cancer, and the whole country started googling cervical cancer, and then a lot of them got really angry because they couldn't spell cervical correctly at the first go, and that took a while. The same thing happened to me as well, and then we all went through the motions that people go through when they read about a celebrity death, especially if it's a young person. Like
True.
nothing freaks us out more than a young person dying because you immediately want to find out what happened, how it happened, why it
And
happened,
could
so
it
that you
happen to
make
me?
sure. Could it happen to me? That's right. And does this happen to you as well, Dipti, when you
Every
uh,
time I hear of somebody
see
young dying,
someone dying,
that's the
right?
first thought. Yeah.
For exactly, especially on Facebook, when people put up a status saying, so and so person passed away, and I don't know who that person is, and they'll write like a eulogy of sorts, and then there'll be a bunch of comments, and I'll click on the comments and looking for the comment that says what happened.
Yes, human nature.
Human nature, we want to know what happened, we want to know why and how, so that it does not happen to us. So all of us went through those emotions, and it's especially uh, what do you say, more impactful a news story like this because a lot of young people have been dying in the last few years.
Very
So
true. Yes.
so we all went through those emotions, and the next day she announces that she's alive, and the whole news story was a publicity stunt to create awareness about cervical cancer, and that's when shit hit the fan. So we had a bunch of reactions. So Dipti, what was your reaction when you found out that this was just a hoax?
So Danny said I'm a doctor, but I'm a gynecologist. So
Mm-hmm.
cervical cancer is one of the things that we do look at. And the thing
Yeah.
is, I've seen so many people, I've had to break news to people that they have cervical cancer. I've
Mm-hmm.
had to watch people actually dying of cervical cancer. So for me, it was in poor taste, to be honest.
Right. But now, in hindsight, a few days later, given the kind of interest and traction this discussion has got, do you still feel the same or do you feel differently?
So, I mean, to be perfectly fair, there have been a huge number of queries for the vaccine, for
Mm-hmm.
pap smears, both people coming to my hospital, and I have
Mm-hmm.
gynecologists as friends all over India, and everybody
Mm-hmm.
reports the same thing that it has brought in a lot of people asking
Mm-hmm.
about pap smear cervical cancer. So it has generated a lot of awareness. So I wouldn't say that it's been, a complete disaster. Maybe a
Mm-hmm.
little distasteful, of course, but it has helped the cause in the end.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because there are a lot of reactions to this story on there. There are people who found it extremely distasteful. They felt triggered by the way the whole situation was handled. There's some people who are saying, you know what, that's what you got to do. You got to shock people into waking up and taking care of themselves. For me personally, as soon as I found out it was a hoax, I was like, man, I got to do a podcast episode. about this. Like my vacation, my Christmas
So,
vacation
so that's the
ended the
thing, no,
day.
Danny. The question is like, what was the motive behind this? Was it really altruistic? Because if you go into the history and geography of it, for example, I had never heard of Poonam Pandey, and now you everybody knows who she is. Number one. Number two, has there been any history from this person of promoting anything health related, especially cancer? There's been
I
this, or is this
I
the
don't
first time?
I don't recall. I do remember there was a time, I think it was the World Cup, the Cricket World Cup, where she said that if India won the final, she would go topless or something. Something to that, if I'm remembering it correctly, that's what she did. She said she would go topless if India won a World Cup. I hope I'm getting this right. But if she did, I mean, that could count as, like, health related endeavors. But that's what I'm
Okay.
saying, right? Like I think that's what Poonam's career has
How is
been.
that
She's
health related
always,
though?
it is medically proven, isn't it, that staring at boobs is good for the eyes? Correct me if I'm wrong. Hang on a second.
I think I've been looking at different textbooks
Yeah,
than you.
what kind of doctor are you, Dipti? What kind of doctor are you? but that's
Apparently the
but that's
wrong kind.
been yeah but that's been her whole thing. She's always been known for pulling off stunts like this, or just being over the top, like for me as well, for me as
Yeah.
well, like I snapped out of my Christmas holidays after Poonam rose from the dead. I mean, for me that was like, I gotta get back to work. She always gets a
So Easter
reaction.
came early, Danny. Little
Easter came
Catholic joke
early.
there.
but but yeah, tell me this, Dipti. I know a lot of people are really angry. They're very upset. They're like, it's very distasteful. You shouldn't do stuff like this. But
No, I hope that it
let's
continues.
be
I mean, I hope that she, was really serious about this
she.
whole cervical cancer thing, and it continues into a prolonged sort of campaign that's actually going to bring more people into the hospital and help. You know that the
I mean,
WHO says that we can eradicate cervical cancer. I mean, that's
right.
amazing. We can almost get rid of cervical cancer. And everybody's crying about cures for cancer. Here we have something that could eradicate a cancer, and still people are not availing of it. So if
Right.
we if it helps us, and if it continues, this campaign continues, it would be fantastic.
Yeah, and the only way to tell if she's being genuine is if she actually gets cervical cancer, and then we'll be like, okay, cool, she's serious about it. But tell me
Should
this, they're just jokes. They're just jokes. Jokes cannot give you cancer. By the way, for those of you listening or watching, it's just haha. That's it. Okay, but I want to know this. Prior to Poonam doing what she did, was there no awareness, or would you say there's very little awareness about cervical cancer?
The thing is, a lot of us have been talking about cervical cancer for a long time. I mean, Dr. Cutris, Tanaya, she's got about 1.5 million followers on Instagram. She talks about cervical cancer all the time. She's written this
Right.
petition. She's trying to get people to sign to kind of get the vaccine included in the national immunization program. A few days before the whole Poonam Pandey, stunt,
Before she died, yeah,
our
before she died.
before she died, uh, our finance minister spoke about it in parliament. So I think one
Right.
argument about it is that people have been speaking about it, but nobody's been listening. And what seemed to have been needed is this shock value, which seems to have worked more than, kind of, for lack of a better word, legitimate discussions about cervical cancer and HPV.
And what does that say about us as a society, that somebody has to fake their own death for us to take the possibility of dying by that disease seriously?
I just put it down to human nature, Danny. It's just, how we are as human beings. We're not perfect.
But I feel like we are wired to feel immortal.
That is
And
true.
the only time we feel mortal is when someone around us dies.
That
Like,
is true.
I don't know if you've noticed this, but whenever there's a death, if it's in the family,
Yeah.
especially when you're younger, yeah, and a younger person dies, for those first, like those few days, those maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month, you really tend to stop in your tracks and take stock of life. You think, oh, what am I doing in this rat race? I should be spending more time with my loved ones. You kind of start giving yourself all these reality checks about how you should be spending the time that you have on earth, because it hits you that there isn't a lot of it. And then
Correct.
as soon as we get back into the grind, we tend to forget. We take it for granted. We start feeling invincible. Especially when you're young, it's very easy to feel that way. So sometimes, yeah, maybe we do need a shock.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If people are really serious about cervical cancer and preventing it and promoting the vaccine, then this should be a prolonged and hard-hitting campaign. Another thing I want to add here, Danny, is that most of the people
Hmm.
who are really suffering from cervical cancer, people who actually die from cervical cancer, these are people who
Hmm.
probably don't have Instagram and don't have mobile phones. These are people who are living in remote parts of the country, who
Hmm.
are really, really poverty stricken, who don't have
Hmm.
access to healthcare, who live like 3 hours from a hospital. And that
Right.
is where this knowledge and this kind of awareness needs to get down to. So that,
Hmm.
I mean, how are we aiming for that? How is that going to happen? It's not going to happen by faking your death on Instagram.
Where we've got to take Poonam to all these villages in the remotest parts of India, make everybody know who she is, and then fake her death repeatedly over the next 10 years. So in every village she goes there, she spends a month, gets to know everybody, becomes friends with them, they start liking her, and then boom, one day she's dead, and then a day later she comes back to life, and we can have the Undertaker musical so for when she wakes up.
This sounds exhausting,
But
but might be effective.
yeah, that's the only way to do it now. We have to take her to every village in the country and kill her, and then raise her back from the dead. But since we do have people's attention now, wherever this podcast may reach, um, what is it that we need to know about cervical cancer?
Cervical cancer is caused, I mean, by this virus called HPV.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we're all searching about cancer, researching about cancer. And, this is one cancer that we know why it happens. 99% of cervical cancers are caused by HPV. HPV is a
Okay.
sexually transmitted virus most of the time. Very rarely it
Mm-hmm.
can be acquired in other ways, but most of the
Mm-hmm.
time it's sexually transmitted. And we have a vaccine against it. And there have been
Okay.
studies that have shown that people who have received the vaccine properly and in time have not
Mm-hmm.
been infected with HPV. Even if you do get the
Okay.
cancer, Danny, which is why when this news came out, a lot of people, gynecologists especially, uh, didn't buy it completely, because this is not a cancer that you suddenly die of. It's not like ovarian or
Mm.
pancreatic cancer where you get your diagnosis and in a month you're dead. No,
Mm.
this is a cancer that can be prevented because it kind of has a long natural history. Like, you get HPV, 80% of us get HPV, by the way, when we have sex. Whether you're in a
What?
monogamous, non monogamous relationship, yeah, it doesn't matter. 80% of us get HPV. And most of us clear it with our own immunity. Now, in a few of
Oh,
us, it
okay.
sticks around. And the beautiful thing about this cancer is that it doesn't happen overnight, it takes a couple of years to develop. So if
Okay.
you just go and get your pap smear once in 3 years, I mean not you, but someone with a cervix, they
Right.
could they could pick up cervical cancer before it actually becomes cancer in the pre-cancer stage and get it treated.
Mm-hmm.
It would never reach cancer. So for example, if you lived in the UK and
Mm-hmm.
you'd be under the NHS, right? So you get an
Yeah.
invitation from the government, every 3 years. You get an email saying, please come for your smear test. Please come for your smear test. They've vaccinated all of their kids. So cervical
Mm-hmm.
cancer is, you hardly see it in these kind of countries. The burden of
Right.
cervical cancer in the world is actually in Africa and India. If you have
Okay.
5 people diagnosed with cancer all over the world, one of those is Pakka from India. So we account for
Mm-hmm.
one of the highest percentages of cervical cancer in the world still, and that's a pity.
Right. So you're saying, okay, so let's dial it back a bit. So you said it's transmitted sexually.
Yeah.
Okay, so when it's transmitted, if you contract the virus, are there any symptoms that one should watch out for? so that they know they should probably go get checked.
That's the thing, So early on, there are no symptoms and it's all microscopic. That's why you need your pap smear. Pap smear is basically
Right,
when you look at somebody's cervix and you take a little brush and you brush the cells off and send it off to the pathologist to look under the microscope. You know how you do those
right.
cheek tests? You brush things off your cheek and you send it
Yep,
for a
yep, yep.
genetic. That's kind of like that. It doesn't hurt. Those cells are all dead anyway. And it's
Right,
less than a minute. And also, Danny,
right.
sex is so taboo in our country because this vaccine is given to kids, okay, 9 to 15. So there's this
Okay.
somehow this idea that if you give people this vaccine and HPV has something to do with sex, that they're going to have sex. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. But there is that sort of like, why do I need to give it to my kid? They're not going to have sex right now. Or why do I need to take it? I only have sex with one person. That's
Right.
not it's not how it works, unfortunately. So I think we need to break all of those taboos and kind of misconceptions before we can really get everybody vaccinated.
Yeah. I've never really understood what it is with Indian parents and their kids having sex.
Yeah, they're totally
This
discouraged right
there's
up till
this
the night they're
delusion,
married, and then they're like,
and
okay,
then and yeah,
I need to
exactly,
talk to
right?
you.
No, yeah, no. It's just like for most of your life, it's like don't talk to boys, don't talk to girls, don't have sex, don't do this, don't do that. And then the minute it's your time to get married, where are the babies? Hello, do you not know how it's done? Did we not teach you? Well, no, you didn't.
I deal a lot with people who can't have sex. So there's this thing called vaginismus where your vagina just kind of shuts down and can't have sex, and you can't have sex. Like, just penetration is impossible and painful. And a
Wait, wait, wait,
lot
wait,
of
wait. That hold. You can't just drop information like this and not
you've never
expect me
heard of
to have some
vaginismus.
questions. No, I've heard of like Miss Vagina. I've never heard of vagina Miss. Hang on a second. So you say the vagina shuts down like as like it goes on strike?
You have muscles, right?
I do here and there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if I tell you to flex your biceps, you can show me your biceps, but you have these muscles, like
Yeah.
women have these muscles inside their pelvis that they can't
Mm-hmm.
really see and they surround the vagina. So
But some of them can flex those muscles. I've
everybody can flex those muscles. And when
No,
you when
some
you
people don't practice, Dipti. Everybody does not practice. I'm telling you, it's like you have the potential to do it, but not everyone does it. But
they're
for the
called
ones
Kegels
that do,
exercises and
Kegel
everybody should do them.
exercises, yes.
Yes.
For the ones that do Kegel exercises, I salute you.
Yeah, they're very
Yeah.
useful. So basically,
Oh
those
yeah.
muscles can kind of involuntarily kind of go into spasm when somebody's, faced with intercourse. And one
Right.
one major reason is from people who come from hyper religious backgrounds and their parents have just drilled into them that sex is like really, really bad. So their
Okay.
body kind of just shuts down when they, are in a
Oh,
can have
so
sex legitimately. But
right.
unfortunately, they've been, they can't anymore. So
So you're saying
kind of backfires.
this happens in the bedroom only when you're in. It's not like it's shut all the time.
No, no, no. It happens when you're in a
So,
position to kind of
so is it a psychological trigger that causes it to
a
spasm?
lot of it is, yes, a lot of it is.
Right,
Many of these people have also been, sexually abused, things like that as well.
right. Okay, yeah. So you were telling me, yeah, vagina miss.
Vagina, not
It's
vagina miss,
vagina.
vaginismus.
It's vaginismus. Okay, so yeah, you're telling me about vaginismus. What is it about?
Yeah, no, 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 no. That was just by the way, because we were talking about how sex is taboo.
Ah,
So
got it.
it has
Got
nothing
it.
to do with cervical cancer.
Okay, but since we're here, if somebody does have this situation where it's dukan band and when you're ready to go, what should they do?
They should go see their doctor. And it's kind of like a multi-doctor kind of approach where you see a gynecologist and maybe a therapist. You get sex therapists as well to
Right.
delve into why it's happening and diagnose it. And slowly come out of it. There are therapies and treatments and things like that.
So women have been known to recover from this condition.
Of course, yeah, 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 of course.
That's what I love about the human body. You can overcome anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
Most things, except the shocking news of celebrity death. That wasn't, dude. I have never seen so many people be disappointed that somebody's alive. That
I
has to
feel
be
like I
the.
shouldn't be laughing so much. I don't know. I feel like a bad person. Thanks a lot, Danny.
Think about it this way. Think about it this way. If Poonam did indeed have cervical cancer and she died, it would still create the same amount of awareness that it did anyway. I still think people would still go and look up cervical cancer. How can I
Yes, of course.
avoid it, etc., etc. But turns out we got to create the awareness, and she's alive, which means she gets a chance to create awareness about something else. What is the thing you just told me? Vaginismus.
Yeah.
That, maybe that's the next one Poonam should tackle.
We can send her a list
But
of suggestions if you'd like.
yes, yes, we should all compile a list of illnesses that need awareness and just send it to her. Okay, I have another question. You said to take the vaccine, and you said that the vaccine is administered at a young age. What about people who are now young adults or in their 30s or 40s and have not taken the vaccine or there was no awareness? What can they do today?
So the thing is, the vaccine is best taken before the age of 15 because that's when, your immune system works best. And also
Mm-hmm.
because you've probably never been exposed to the virus because you haven't started having sex yet. But
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't taken it by the age of 15, you can take it up to the age of 45 with less benefit, of course. But I
Mm-hmm.
still think it's worth taking.
Right. And should men also take the vaccine?
Men should also take the vaccine, of course, because you don't only get cervical cancer from HPV. You can get anal cancer. You can get penile cancer. That's cancer of the penis.
Mm.
You can get
Mm.
throat cancer. Did you know that you can get throat cancer through like oral sex? I
I
think it
mean,
was
I've
Michael
only.
Douglas who spoke about this. He brought awareness to this because he said that he got oral cancer through
All
cunnilingus.
right. Oh, okay. So, as a dude, if you go down on a woman, you could get cancer.
Correct.
That is if she has the HPV virus.
Yes, works both ways.
Oh, damn, we all got to roam around with like medical. What do you, those
It's called
tests?
dental dams. You can
Damn,
just use
god
dental
damn.
dams. You know what a dental dam is, right?
No.
It's
Tell
like a
me.
condom for oral sex.
How does that work?
So it's
Wait,
like
like it covers your whole mouth.
yeah, so it's like a piece of like a condom, like but more like a sheet that you place over the vulva.
Right. And like and then it's like your tongue is
There's a
trying to
barrier.
break through. It's trying to break through and escape and yes.
Correct.
No, actually, I did know what a dental dam was. I just wanted you to explain it. I've never tried it though. But man, like if I didn't know if you can get like cancer just by going down on somebody, you're just trying to make them happy. Damn, life is hard.
I thought you were going to say that's a
Like
good way to go, but okay.
I mean, not really. Yeah, that's probably
I'm
the
kidding.
sissiest. That's probably the sissiest way to go, right? You're just like, yo, what happened? What happened to you? Like, how did you die? It's like I went down on my woman, and like, whoa,
Discussion at the
damn,
pearly gates.
at the pearly gates, and then God will be like, yeah, I already know. I made her. I made you. I knew what dumbasses both of you were, and here we are now.
I made HPV.
And he made HPV. Yeah, yeah, that's nice. Yeah. So, okay, great. So you're saying highly preventable, easily detectable, but one should get checked regularly, is what you're saying?
Yes, yes. Need to go in and see
If
a
you
gynecologist every 3 years from the age of 21 to the age of 65 and do the pap smear.
okay, and men should just get a routine test to see if they have it.
Unfortunately, there are no proper tests for men that are standardized yet, except for men who have sex with other men. We can do an anal swab. So,
Oh.
That's the unfortunate bit.
Right, right. So women have a test, gay men have a test, but straight men do not.
Yeah.
Wow. So sexist.
By the way,
It's,
you can also get
it's
warts from HPV, not only cancers. Genital
what?
warts. Genital warts,
Uh,
those little
yeah,
terrible little
I
growths
know
everywhere, they're very difficult to
that
get rid
was.
of.
Uh, and they stay forever.
No, you can't treat them, but they're quite difficult to get rid of. And the problem with warts is, you can just get it from, they're so contagious. You can get it just from rubbing together. You don't even have to have like penetrative sex or
Dipti,
anything.
I think you and I together have put everybody off from sex. I don't think anybody who watches this episode or listens to it is going to be like, man, I can't wait to get down tonight. Everyone is
Just
going to
just
get
carry
virgin.
like this massive
No,
raincoat around with you and just throw it on
yeah,
top of your
no,
partner before you start.
I just think everybody who listens to this podcast or watches this episode is going to get vaginismus. Straight up, it's done. What's the male equivalent of that? Do you is it
Probably
uh, p-
erectile dysfunction, I guess.
erectile dysfunction, right? Man, can you imagine every like
Kegels will also help you with, by the way.
Peop
Just
people are
campaigning
not
for
able to
Kegels
have
here.
the people are not able to have sex anymore because of Poonam Pandey. That's it. It's done. It's done. I don't think I want to do it now. I'm going to take a break for a while. I'm just like, man, that's too.
Recover from all
Oh,
of this information. Yes.
yes, yes, indeed. So as a guy, there's no way we will know, or I will know rather.
So the thing
Is
is,
that
if
what
you
you're saying?
have if you're having intercourse with somebody that you don't know, it's always better to just just wear a barrier in whatever
Yeah,
way.
yeah. I mean, that goes without saying.
And then,
But
if your
my
partner has it, then
then you have it.
your partner should get tested like
Oh,
regularly.
okay, okay, okay,
There's a
okay, okay.
swab for HPV for women. You can do a vaginal swab and
Mm.
check.
I mean, as in we should do it or the doctor should do it.
The doctor should do it, but you
Um.
can do it yourself. There are studies being done for self collection as well. On a
Okay.
very technical note,
Mm.
because a lot of times people are just not very happy to have this instrument, shoved up there, and it's actually not
Eh,
very painful if everything is done very tastefully and everybody's relaxed and everybody's
right.
gentle. It's
Play
less,
some
it's not.
nice music in the background, some nice relaxing sound, some white
I don't know if you're
noise,
saying this as a joke, but it actually works.
Oh, of course it does. Music calms people down.
Correct.
Music has a very healing
Yeah,
effect.
and it literally takes less than a minute. So just do it.
Fair enough. I think that was very informative. I think uh, Poonam did all of us a favor, whether we like it or not. I think, yeah, it's a good conversation to have. I've learned a lot today. So I know that 80% of us could have it. We won't know. Men will not know unless we're having sex with other men. So we're missing out over there already. The only way we find out is if the women we have sex with tell us that they have it. But again, using barriers helps. You could get it if you go down on somebody as well. So don't go down. Don't be too happy about going down to town all the time. But highly preventable, easily detectable. There's a vaccine. If you're young, under the age of 15, you're probably not listening to the podcast anyways. But if you're above the age of 15 and up to the age of 45, you can still get the vaccine, and keep doing regular pap smears once in 3 years, right?
Also, I just want to say, Danny, that there's no treatment for some. Once you get HPV, you're really relying on your body's immunity to get rid of it. So
It's not
one
curable.
thing, it is curable, but you have to rely on your own immunity.
Got it.
There's no like
I,
magic pill you can take to get rid of HPV
right,
once you have
right.
it. So the thing is, one thing that keeps it, I really want to tell people this, is smoking. Like, particulates from cigarettes, like, all of the
Mm-hmm.
substances in cigarettes have actually been isolated from cervical secretions. And it kind of changes the environment in your cervix and vagina, and it doesn't let your body get rid of the vaccine. also having another infection down there. So really not smoking is a good
So smoke.
thing to do.
So smoking. So smoking definitely doesn't help.
No, it keeps the virus around.
Uh-huh. Noted. Noted. Is there anything else we should know?
Um, some of the symptoms maybe we could talk about. So if one thing people should definitely go to the doctor for is if they have bleeding after sex. Any amount of bleeding
Mm-hmm.
after sex is not normal. Um, I know that in movies and things like that, bleeding after sex is supposed to be like some sign of quote unquote
Virginity, right?
virginity or all of that.
Uh,
Yeah, but persistent bleeding after sex is not normal at all. You need to see a
mm-hmm.
doctor. Having like really foul smelling discharge down there, also not good.
Mm-hmm.
Pelvic pain, lower back pain, bleeding after you've crossed menopause, difficulty passing urine,
Mm,
losing too much weight, losing your appetite, all of this, go see your doctor.
yeah. Nobody's having sex for another week at least. But thank you so much for joining me on the podcast, Dipti. This was very informative. I hope everything you shared reaches the people who need to hear it and they do something about it. Take control of their destiny to some extent and get the vaccine, get your pap smears. If you have anything detected, be sure to send Poonam Pandey a thank you note.
Thanks for having me.
And yes, and with that, we come to an end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and thank you so much for coming on, Dipti. I will share clips about our discussion on Instagram as well, for those of you who've not managed to watch the whole episode, which if you've reached this point, you have. But Dipti is on Instagram as well, and she posts a lot of reels about very informative stuff that you need to know basically as a woman and maybe as a man as well. So give Dipti a follow as well. What's your Instagram, Dipti?
It's at Dr. Bombastic, Dr.
Yeah.
Bombastic, not
Okay, I'll put that up.
Bombastic,
Woombastic with the womb. W O
with the
M
womb.
B A S T I C. Yeah. All right. So give Dipti a follow as well. So thank you everybody for joining us. This is me, Daniel Fernandez, signing off, and we are back with the podcast. We are going to have a new episode every week, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.